Live from Kakariko Village. Broadcast throughout the Retroverse, transmitted to the real world via a maze of wires connecting a Super Nintendo to a Wii, to a Wi-Fi network, and finally to the internet. The Techno Funk Boy presents the Retro Zoo Super Show. Now here are your hosts, Kai and Steven.
Well, greetings, everybody, and welcome to the Retro Zoo Super Show. I am one of your hosts, Kai, and we have a special guest with us, Ken from I can now say, from Dyson Dreary. Like, have a title now.
Yay, a title.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I gotta say, it's great to be here in the legendary Kakariko Village Studios.
Yeah, it's a little cramped.
Yeah, I gotta say, though, I wasn't quite expecting the town, this section of town. It's a little rough. As I was coming in earlier, there was a guy outside running around breaking pots and kicking chickens.
Oh, yeah, he does that.
Yeah. Oh, is that Drum over there? Hey, Drum, what's up, man?
I am functioning normally.
That's good. Glad to hear it. What am I doing here anyway?
Okay, so yeah, well, we are going to be talking about, because we started this series on tabletop gaming and have done very little talking about tabletops at all. That was kind of my fault, but I got distracted with shiny objects. But today we are going to be talking about Dungeons & Dragons Online. But first things first, because I have promised a dear friend of ours an update. Because earlier this week, we were, well, I should say that I was streaming on the Realm. Jeff and Charlotte tried to join, but then their modem broke. So it was just me. But it really turned into like let's talk about Taco Bell stream. And our friend Ezots from the Realm Online mentioned that there was this thing, and I gotta look up what it was called. But so it's the steak, the rattlesnake fries steak There's rattlesnakes and there's fries and there's steak. Did I say rattlesnake or did I say rattlesteak? I felt like I said rattlesteak.
You may have said both.
Okay. Rattlesnakes, fries, and steak. And we discussed this at length, and I let him know that I'd be going by Taco Bell on the following day, and I would tell him what happened at Taco Bell during the episode today. So we are going to be, since this is a retro gaming podcast, we're going to be talking about fast food for just a minute here. So the rattlesnake fries are like fries with cheese and jalapeno sauce and jalapenos and steak. And they actually did have it, and it was pretty fantastic. And I'm trying to avoid going back there like multiple times.
This is not on your diet.
Drum, I know it's not on my diet. I have a diet now because, wedding. It's happening with like 21 episodes. That's nearly a half a year, but apparently I can't have more of these fries.
Give into it.
Do not be fooled. I did not say that.
I know you didn't. Never mind. Oh, goodness. Okay, so Dungeons & Dragons Online. I did not know about this thing till a few weeks ago. Were you the one that told me about it?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Yeah. And you had played way back in the day.
Yes, back in 2008, I believe it was when I first started playing.
This is, I think, like by far the newest game we have ever discussed, like as a review on this podcast, because the original release was 2006, which was barely 13 years ago, which is like nothing, you know. We normally talk about 20-year-old games and 30-year-old games. So this one's just, it's really far too recent. But since we are in the tabletop vibe here and trying to, you know, discuss kind of the influence, especially of Dungeons and Dragons on gaming, kind of felt like we needed to. So we both jumped back on, or you back on, me on for the first time, and got to check it out. So that's actually been a lot of fun, and I've actually played it a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah, it's a good time waster, you know.
It really, well, yeah. I mean, and that's pretty much what I've been using it for. It's like, oh, I have time for a quest. Why not?
Yeah, contrary to many MMOs, you can just hop on 20 minutes, half hour, have fun with it, and then log off.
Right.
Kind of like the Realm Online.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you know, and we've done several episodes on the Realm, of course, and that's been kind of my main experience with MMORPGs. And I also played EverQuest quite a bit, and I played City of Villains some. And so this is, you know, I don't have a lot of experience in this genre, but also all of my experience comes prior to this, and so it was really kind of interesting to see a game that had kind of learned the mistakes of previous ones, and we'll get into that a little bit, but just as to kind of overview things. So this is a multiplayer online role-playing game where that is I don't know. I mean, I guess it's loosely based on D&D 3.5 edition, but it draws. I hate to say loosely because it draws a lot from Dungeons and Dragons.
It seems to be a lot more loose than it was when I started playing.
Oh, so it was much more.
Oh, it was
more tied.
3.5.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And they've added a whole bunch of new stuff since then, apparently.
Nice. So yeah, it does seem like this has been been supported continuously in that time. Kind of unlike the Realm Online, which was passed around and then, dropped for a little bit and not updated for a little bit. This does seem to have been kind of a continuous community. It's also, been around 10 years less time than the Realm Online, so that's certainly understandable. We'll have to see how Dungeons and Dragons Online fares in another 10 years. But it was also, very populated by people, which kind of surprised me for a 13-year-old game.
Yeah, seems like they are still going strong. I mean, end of this month there's a new expansion coming out, it looks like.
Nice, yeah. And we immediately saw that there's a Ravenloft Strahd expansion available. That is tempting me, although it is paid content. And there's when I first started, one of the first things I noted was how much paid content they're actually in. And there's a ton, even from character creation.
Yeah, their model very much is, they're trying to get you into that subscription plan. Right.
Yeah, and that's understandable. I mean, they do want to make money, of course.
Yeah, coming from the old EverQuest days, I mean, that's just how you played. You paid your $15 a month, and you access the game.
Right.
And this, if you pay the 15, you can access the game, and I think it's pretty much everything. There are a few things here and there that you can't get to.
Yeah.
Or with the free-to-play, you can still play. It's just there's limits to quests and whatever.
Right. And we've been doing the free-to-play, and there's still a whole lot to do in this game. So in character creation, if you are doing free-to-play, you can't be like a half-elf. But I don't think you can be a gnome.
Nope. The gnome was special content.
Right. Which you did. I mean, you had some credits carried over from when you played in the past, and so you were able to get the gnome because we were determined to recreate our Dice and Dreary characters. I was pretty surprised when I got the idea to start playing again. I figured, well, I wonder if my count's still there. Yeah.
I checked. Sure enough, it's still there, and I got all kinds of in-game currency to spend. Like, wow.
Yeah. Well, and thankfully, Crethin is a human, and so not a half-elf. And so I was able to create that. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that so kind of the base races and the base classes you can be, no matter even as a free to play, but even getting as specialized as a half elf, which is a pretty standard race. That is paid content, and as soon as you get in, there are paid quests. There are all sorts of advantages, but there's a lot to do, and we have found just quite a bit of entertainment in it just on the free content. And so it's been pretty satisfying. I was a little worried going in when I started seeing all of those, specialized, hey, purchase this at the DDO store buttons. I was like, oh goodness, it's not going to let me do anything, is it?
Yeah, they say it is very viable to play through the whole game up to level 20 and beyond in just the free to play content.
Right. Yeah. So just again, getting into kind of some of the specifics, it is 3D over the shoulder view, and the settings are quite large and quite diverse, and certainly bigger than I'm used to, being strictly retro gamer who doesn't have the patience for these modern games with all their fancy open spaces stuff.
More than 3 buttons.
Right. That's one thing that was tripping me out, as I mentioned to you, like after we had been playing for like over a week, it's like, you had these different hotkeys set, and I had one hand on the mouse and one hand on the directional buttons, and I'm like, how am I supposed to press all of these? And you pointed out that I was just doing everything wrong, and so now it's better.
WASD, man.
You do have kind of the different abilities that you can have in Dungeons and Dragons based on your class, and a lot of these do come into play quite frequently, like the disarm trap ability that the rogues have and the artificers have. I think they're the only ones who have it. Comes in handy quite a bit, and there's a lot of stuff that you can customize about it with your class and with your abilities. It is very, very skill driven, and so when I picked Ranger, it immediately started asking me, I can either customize it, or there's 3 pre-built Rangers depending on what kind of Ranger I wanted to be, and so I tried both methods, and there's a ton of skills, a ton of abilities you can buy, and that's really where you start customizing your character and making that character very cool.
Yeah, it again goes back to the 3.5 rules. All those skills were part of it.
Yeah,
I know
which I didn't play much. I played very little. I think I was just third edition. It might be 3.5.
There really wasn't much difference between 3 and 3.5.
But yeah, it was, and that sort of the skill complexity was definitely part of it.
Yeah, it looks like 5th edition kind of compresses a bunch of those skills into one thing. So like if you want to try climb, swim, it's all athletics.
Yeah.
Whereas older versions, those were separate skills.
Yeah, and which part of which I love 5th edition in how character driven it is. I really like that. It always makes me kind of like, really? I mean, swimming is just athletics. I mean, that's a specific skill that you actually have to learn. Just because you're good at athletics doesn't mean you're going to swim well. But I'm very happy to make that sacrifice for kind of the broader, more character focus that it brings. It also just, the ease of play of it, because that's always been kind of the thing that kept a lot of people away from Dungeons and Dragons. It was just how complex it was. From the early days of THAC0, it's like that still doesn't make any sense. You can make a part of your brain that can calculate it, but it's never going to make any sense because it's dumb. And that kind of stuff just, I think, scared a lot of people away. And that's always been the struggle. And so I think that seems to be what 5th edition is trying to solve, is making it a little bit easier to just pick up and play it. Yeah.
And you should note that there is no THAC0 in DDO.
Yeah. Yes, very nice. Yeah. And so, a lot of it is just running and killing things, which is, kind of what MMORPGs are known for. The thing that, a couple of things that I really like that it fixes from the other games that I've played is that, between like EverQuest and Realm and stuff, a lot of these games are really not very playable solo, or just totally focused the other way. But most of them just so focus on the kind of the group play that you really can't just go online and fool around in the world for a little bit, because it's just too punishing for a solo character. And DDO has, actually going through some of the quests both by myself and with you, it's actually remarkably balanced, most of these quests, in letting you approach it kind of the way that you want to.
Yeah, like you said, solo play is certainly viable, and in fact, there are several quests where you have to be solo.
Yeah, and that threw me off, because I'm not used to an MMO encouraging you in places to play solo. But I do think that they're trying to lead you to try both ways, so that you can see, hey, this game is a lot of fun with groups and solo, and so I should play it more.
Yeah. I know, like EverQuest, trying to get anywhere single player was impossible. You could kite, but it would take you, 20 minutes, half hour just to kill one mob.
Right.
And then you watch your little experience bar move up maybe a pixel.
Oh gosh, yes.
Like, oh.
Okay, so that's another thing that this game really gets right, in that it has the major levels, but you also get spendable points at intervals as you're gaining experience. And so you might not go up in levels yet, but there's still landmarks that you're going to get points that you can spend on different abilities or in skills and such. And then of course you have the major level ups, where that's where you really start gaining strength. But it in that way, it kind of fixed that bar that goes up a pixel at a time by just, by shooting up, and it's like, oh, here's a point for you to spend. Now let's go for that next point. And it feels like you've accomplished something instead of just waiting for that major level to happen.
Yeah, that's certainly nice. And that is something that's new from back when I used to play.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, it used to be just the levels. Now they have the, what do they call them? Enhancement points?
Yeah, enhancements.
Yeah.
And that's really where you can start digging in and customizing your character and figuring out what kind of character you are. And so that comes with all of these, I mean, just massive amounts of skill trees. So like, I was playing a human ranger. And so there's like a skill tree for human.
Wait, human?
Yes, I'm human.
Are you sure?
Yes, pretty sure. Yes. Those who listen to Dyson Dreary will get that. But there's a skill tree for human, and then there's 3 ranger skill trees. And then you can actually add on other skill trees as well. And so, very, very much opposed to like a Realm Online, which is all about, the simplicity of it and the ease of play. The complexity ramps up on this one. I was listening to it, actually one that you found, a DDO podcast about kind of a new character's beginner's guide. And they just pretty much all agree that your first character you're going to mess up on. And so just try things. And it's that kind of complexity where you're going to get it wrong the first time is definitely present in the game. Yeah,
that's certainly a factor. And another great thing about the game is once you hit level 20, you can do a, what do they call it, a reincarnation or a resurrection. Or basically you just start fresh, but you get some sort of either race or class to carry on into your next character.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I definitely haven't gotten that far.
There is, in fact, a feat for getting every class.
Wow.
So if you want to put in the time to true resurrect in every class, then you'll get an extra bonus feat or something.
I hope that's massive. Just like, there's I hope it's not something like, congratulations, you get an extra 2 experience from every quest,
Well, you do get the incremental each time you true resurrect as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It all adds up.
Nice. That's very neat.
None of the bonuses are huge, but you figure like a +2 to ability. I mean, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, absolutely is. So how how this game handles quests themselves is a really great improvement over what I've played. And I very distinctly, talk about what I've played there, because even in City of Villains, I started seeing the move to exactly what this game does. But going back to the original Realm, there just weren't any quests, and they slowly got them, but they were just kind of little fetch quests here and there that everybody ignores. And EverQuest has them, and they're ignored there too. It's real. I mean, they're just a bunch of fetch quests. And I remember I was like, I played a paladin in EverQuest, and I was at the temple of whatever god I forgot, and I was just actually hanging around and healing. And so I started talking to him, and I saw this quest there. And one of the quests was just to talk to every one of the sisters in this building. And I was like, oh, well, that's a great use of my time while I'm sitting, while I'm waiting in town anyways. And so I did that. And then I found out that the final sister had gone out on a journey across the sea to this island. And I was like, you kidding me? Come on. This was the most rinky-dink quest ever. And you're going to send me across the world. And And so I actually, much later, weeks later, found myself quite by accident. I was just following somebody else in a group, but I found myself quite by accident on that very island. And I'm like, oh, great, I can finish the quest. And so I went around and talked to everybody. And sure enough, she had gone farther out into the world where I could not go on in my level. And I'm like, I mean, is this kind of just feels like the silliness of even the most minor of quests in EverQuest, and that's probably why they were pretty much ignored. But City of Villains did start separating out the quest areas, into distinct levels, where if you go in, you're by yourself, or if you go in with a group, your group is there so that, people can't snipe your kills and such. And so I was starting to see that there, but DDO takes us really to the next level, where this is very quest driven, very much like a Dungeons and Dragons game. And some of them are very small and can be done very quickly, and some of them are much, much longer. And you can pick and choose where to go, and a lot of them actually have really cool stories. And this is one of those games that they managed to get as an MMORPG, but still had it very quest driven and very story driven.
Yeah, I remember that was one of the things that got me into the game when I first started playing it, is how great the quests were. Like you said, coming from EverQuest, it'd take you forever to complete this just long, arduous task, and then your reward for it was nothing.
Yeah. And the task was silly too.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just go talk to the sisters. It's just a silly quest. It's just a silly fetch quest that has no meaning on anything. Yeah.
And then, playing DDO, you start reading into you can run through it without paying attention to what you're doing, but you really do miss something. Like last night we did that one where we had to, was that last night? We were tracking down the pirate captain.
Oh yeah.
And it was just, a neat little story that went along with this little 20-minute, half-hour quest.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you blew up.
I did. We're gonna talk about that in just a minute, but we are going to jump to our break. It is April, and when I say these words, I already know that it's April. But we are debuting our March Patreon song. For those who listen, you are regularly. You already know that for every month we are covering a tune from Mega Man 3, and that's available free to our patrons at any level. And so this one was our March song. It is the boss battle music, and at the tail end of recording, everything in my life just got hammered, and so I had to finish up in the first week of April. But April's song is already in the works, and so we should not have a repeat of that issue. But over the break, we are going to be debuting that, and our patrons already have access to that. And so hope y'all are enjoying it. And if you want to join our Patreon, it's patreon.com/technofunkboy at any level. You are able to download both of the Mega Man songs that have already been released. We're doing those once a month, and the theme song from Dice and Dreary that's up right now. So please do check that out, and we will be right back. And we're back. It's amazing how fast that thing goes.
It does. That's a good song, though.
Thank you. Oh, so
I was looking forward to hearing it.
There were, there were, and that pirate quest was a lot of fun. Cause that was, so these pirates had taken this captain's crew captive, took him off to this island, and we were going to go save him. And we did so because we're awesome. And then we decided to get revenge on the pirates and blow up their ship.
And killed their cook.
And we did kill their cook, didn't we?
Yep.
That's true. Yes. And so we got on the ship very promptly and set the charges and waiting very patiently for the word that we were going to go that we were going to, light the fuse and abandon ship. I was just waiting for the word, and then I blew up because Ken had already set the.
Well, the DM said to go ahead and light the fuse, so I did. It's a very sprocket thing to do.
That's true. Yes, and this does mimic. This does mimic some things that repeatedly happen in Dice and Dreary. If you haven't not listening to that, you need to. But actually, we didn't mention the DM. The DM is a really cool idea. That the DM is just that disembodied voice that kind of gives you information along the way, and it tells you about the quest ahead of you. And so it's kind of a cool way to get a narrator in, but also to have that Dungeons and Dragons, tradition of the Dungeon Master in there.
Yeah, and I'll give you a bit of a minor spoiler, but there are quests that are actually narrated by Gary Gygax.
Oh, really? Wow.
I believe Peter Arneson did one as well. Is that his first name, Peter? Arneson, anyway. I know he...
Yeah. That's fantastic. I was reading on there that Ed Greenwood had narrated one of the add-ons, which is very cool. And so, there's a lot to the game to uncover. But I wanted to talk particularly about the one quest kind of in the opening, at the beginning town, because it kind of deals with how story is unfolded in this game, where you're on this island and it should not be snowing, but it is snowing, and it's because this frost dragon is hanging around, and the frost dragon should not be hanging around. And so you go on this series of quests to figure out what's going on and gain allies, as in NPC allies. And you finally get to the very end, and you're at the last quest, and they're telling you, okay, the reason this dragon is here is because it's being mind controlled by a mind flayer who has this crystal that is amplifying its power so that it can control the dragon. And so they have this great, this great plan that the NPCs are going to distract the dragon while you sneak around and destroy the crystal. And this sets off the final quest. And I was just absolutely blown away by how cinematic this whole thing was. And just the way everything was set up, that as you're getting through the dungeon, and like there's this one particular door you open, and as soon as you open it, you realize you are face to face with that dragon. And that moment to me was, I even replayed the quest, and even then that moment was just like, oh crap, there's the dragon, and that the way they unveiled that was just really neat and well timed, well placed. And there's just a lot of moments like that in this quest that really make you feel like you're part of the story. You're not just dungeon crawling, but there's a sense of urgency there. You are on a mission. You are trying to save the world, and you're level 2 and you're face to face with a dragon, which is never a good idea.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that throughout the game, from what I remember. Remember running a quest back when I first started playing with a buddy of mine, and he had already done it, so he knew it was coming, but he didn't bother telling me. So we're running through, and there's the big bad controlling everything, and they kind of hinted at it, but didn't really tell you what it was. So we're getting towards the end, run around a corner, and we're looking eye to single eye of a beholder right in front of us.
Oh, wow.
Oh, good. And then we get disintegrated, and
yeah, that's exactly what you want to see when you open a door or around a corner,
But it was fun, Get your soul crystal, revive, and try it again.
Right. Yeah. And especially with Dungeons and Dragons video gaming, that's been the tradition. Is that back starting with Pool of Radiance, these games have very traditionally been exceedingly hard, and you're going to die multiple times, and you probably die in DDO less than in those original games, but that is part of the Dungeons and Dragons video game experience, is getting blown up by your friend on a ship and dying.
And the death penalty really isn't that bad.
No.
When you're in quest, there are these resurrection shrines, and when you die, you'll drop a crystal, and you can run around as a ghost. I think there's like 8 seconds you have away from your crystal, and if you can pick up your crystal and run it to one of those red shrines in that 8 seconds, boom, you're back in.
Yeah.
Or if one of your party members, or if you have a pet or a hireling, you can get them to carry it. Yeah. And then you just get back. In worst case scenario, okay, you can't, so you just recall out, you fail the quest, but you don't lose anything, you just go back in.
Right, yeah. It's a neat system. It does have a penalty in that, if your party wipes, you don't just pop right back up at the same spot, but it also has enough give that, if you are the only unlucky one and your party's still around, or if you do have a pet that's still around or something, then you can get back into this. And so that is a lot of fun. Just being able to see kind of the Dungeons and Dragons monsters in there is a lot of fun.
Oh, that's great.
And I love how even in the newbie area, that last quest in this one town, that you basically get to level 3 in this town by the time you finish all the quests. But even there, you're going to come face to face with both the Mind Flayer and a dragon. You don't have to fight either one of them, but you're face to face with them. And so it doesn't just sick you on goblins for forever, waiting till you get to see one of the iconic creatures. You get to experience these things very, very quickly, and that's been a ton of fun as well. The variety of dungeons and quests, is all of them have kind of their own flavor to them, and different challenges that are almost unique to that quest. So everything is just really well designed. There hasn't been just a lot of just copying from prior quests or repeating it. Even in the kind of silly fetch quest or the protect quest or escort quest, there is some variety there. The landscapes change, the situations change in front of you. So there was a lot of care put into this, and that's what really impresses me with it.
Yeah, it was certainly a labor of love, and it's very obvious. The developers clearly had the original game material in mind, and they wanted to make something true to that D&D experience, and they absolutely nailed it. Yeah,
absolutely. So the company that runs it now is Daybreak Game Company, and they also do have Lord of the Rings Online, which, as just a fanatical Tolkien fan, I'm really anxious to play as well. And actually, both of these games came out pretty close together. DDO was 96, and Lord of the Rings Online was not 96, 06. See, I'm still in retro mode. I can't actually describe games created in this century.
It's like the Y2K bug.
Right? Yes. At the year 2000, drum stops working. And Lord of the Rings Online was 07. And so at some point, I'm going to have to tackle that one. But in the meantime, yeah, I've really been enjoying myself, and it is one of those games, like you said, like Realm Online, but not at all like EverQuest, where you can jump on if you have a free 20 minutes and actually accomplish something.
Yeah, it's certainly a great aspect of it.
So that is, that's the basics of that. It's really hard to kind of describe the sheer size of the thing. The second town you get to after you finish with that first, the dragon and the mind flayer in the first town. And then, by the way, one of the things that, that you have an effect on the world is really cool is that when you do finish that last quest, it stops snowing. And so it's like, it just reminds you that feeling like, yes, I accomplished something, it's now sunshiny. But getting to that next town is absolutely massive. And the just size of the thing is bewildering. And you can go out and just, kill bugbear bards for hours.
Bugbear bards.
I say that because how many were there?
I think all of them.
Yeah, I didn't know the bugbears had this kind of music industry, but we were killing so many of them. We were joking that there was a songwriters convention in town. These were all a bunch of peaceful bugbears that were just trying to, sing their war protest songs, and we were killing them, just by the score. It was kind of insane. But yeah, you can jump out there and just go kill things or go on a short quest. The quests are great because they'll tell you the length of them as you're coming in, and so you find one of those labeled short and dive in, or if you have a little bit more time, there's some that are interconnected. We finished up a series of 4 separate long quests that were very much interconnected in that you accomplish one goal, and that leads you to the next one in the plot. And so for kind of whatever you're wanting to accomplish, when you sit down and play, either short or long, in a group or solo, they've really made a really great effort to make sure that you have something that you can do whatever mood you're in.
Yeah, and that series of quests was good XP too.
Yeah, that was. I'm close enough. My character is now close enough to level 5 that I think if I ran it again, I might peak right over that line. But so that might be an activity for a little bit later. So yeah. So anything about DDO that we have not yet mentioned that is worth mentioning?
No, I think we did a fantastic job. We covered absolutely everything.
Yeah. Now that we are 4 levels into we have now seen everything.
Yep. Yeah, we haven't even gotten close.
Yeah, and in this, I really tried to endeavor to just talk about the feel of the game, simply because, we haven't explored a fraction of the thing yet. And even when we go through all the free content, there are numerous expansions, and I am seriously, I'm serious. Yeah, and I've mentioned this before, but really thinking about trying to make that Ravenloft Strahd expansion some kind of Patreon goal over in Dice and Dreary, because that would be entertaining for Crethin and Sprocket to run through that game while they're running through the Curse of Strahd in the tabletop version.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about spoilers, but
yeah, oh yeah, I think we would have to wait until we were at least done recording. There's an older computer Ravenloft game as well that's very early polygonal 3D stuff, and I want to play that as well, but I'm gonna wait until we're done recording this adventure before I do that. But once that happens, I think I'm gonna dive head first into a bunch of Strahd stuff, just for fun to kind of compare and contrast, and I think that'd be entertaining.
Yeah, and it looks like the DDO Ravenloft content is around level 10. That's when it starts.
Okay, so
we've got a little bit of time.
There. We're not there anyways. But yeah, something worth looking into. So, so that is available. That is there. Like we said, there's plenty of free content in this game that is very, very playable. I really have not felt like I've missed out on anything so far. Not having paid content. I'm sure that will change at some point, but
One thing we didn't touch on is the community is really great.
Okay, so and that's a good thing. I was going to ask you about this because so far you're the only one I've talked to in game.
Yeah,
and I know there are guilds, and there's actually a lot. I know there's a lot of bonuses for guilds and for running with guilds and stuff, which is really cool. The community is something that I have not delved into yet.
Yeah, I haven't really interfaced with anyone else, but just watching the chat, because, like creepy lurker and all that. And people are always helping each other out.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I should utilize that at some point. I prefer to just wander around and be lost.
Get into trouble, yeah.
Get in trouble, right.
It's a very ranger thing to do.
Exactly, yes. Wander off into the woods, see what I find, run away when they attack me.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think that about does it. That definitely covers it. And we do appreciate you joining us today. Please do keep in mind the Patreon page with the Mega Man music, patreon.com/technofunkboy. I am going to be taking the week off next week as we can prepare for our next episodes. And so I'm going to catch you in 2 weeks. But until then, I hope y'all enjoy stuff you're playing. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you next time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. One quick thing. Don't play that music yet. If you are interested in DDO Online, we're now playing on the Orion server. That's Orien.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and look us up. I mean, yeah. I'll talk with you. I don't know if Kai will. He can be kind of a jerk sometimes.
And we normally
Sprocket X.
Oh yeah, and I'm playing Crethin. And if you join the Technofunk Boy Discord server, DDO supports voice chat, but we haven't actually tried it yet. We've just been using the Discord for that, and so join us on there, and Discord will let you know like when one of us is on, and feel free to just jump on and say hello. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Can we start the music now?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, cool.
Oh wait, one more thing. Man, that guy is still outside chasing those poor chickens around. What is up with him?
Yeah, there's been a lot of us who've been worried about him for a very long time.
The Retro Zoo Super Show is brought to you by the Techno Funk Boy. Follow us on Twitter at TechnoFunkBoy, on Facebook at the TechnoFunkBoy, and sign up for our email list at TechnoFunkBoy.com. Also look for us on Spotify, iTunes, and Amazon for music. If you are so inclined, please leave us a 5-star rating and review on your favorite podcast catcher. If you are not so inclined, you are obviously some sort of villain trying to conquer the world. Unowned music and gameplay clips are used for educational and critical purposes. Thank you for listening. Keep gaming. Unless you have responsibilities that need to be done at this time, then you can game later.